Hi, if you've been watching the news, you've probably heard all about AI and read some very scary articles. For example, if you search Google for AI right now, you'll see that AI can draw pictures better than the best artist on the planet. You'll hear how it can pass college exams, and you'll even find articles how it's outperforming lawyers on the bar exam and doctors on the MCATs. To top it all off, this is the most primitive, basic version of AI we're ever going to see. AI is a lot like the Netscape mid-1990s. Just think about what the internet looked like in the late 1990s and then what it looked like a few short years later. I don't even think Netscape was in business a few years after that, going from market leader to nothing. So AI and apps like ChatGPT are going to follow that same path. It's frightening to think about what AI will be able to do in a few short years, much less a decade or so from now. The media is having a field day talking about how we're all going to be unemployed in a few years as the machines put us all out of work. Scary stuff, right? Well, I don't think so. And here's why. Most people have it all wrong. AI is one of the biggest opportunities that we've ever seen as business owners and entrepreneurs in a very long time. And if you stick with me until the end of this video, I'll explain exactly why that is, and also how you should be thinking about AI. I'm also going to tell you why, because of AI, now is the best time ever to start your own business. Now, what business I think you should start in this unique time is something I'll also share with you. And as a bonus, I'll also explain why there's one specific skill in this business that is absolutely AI-proof and guarantees that you'll never be replaced. In fact, this one thing even gives you an unfair advantage if you know how to use it. So first, let's talk about how you should be thinking about technological change and why you should really reframe your thinking about it if you're afraid of it. First, don't hide from AI. Embrace it. Don't see it as the enemy. Don't try to run from it, and please don't stick your head in the sand. You need to think of AI as a tool, and it's a phenomenal tool. Now, you're not going to be replaced by AI any more than accountants were replaced by spreadsheets and TurboTax. But people who don't prepare, well, those could be replaced by a human, another human, using AI. You can rocket ahead of other people by taking a little time to figure out the basics of how to use AI tools. You'll be far ahead of the game. There are AI tools that can make you better at your job or your business. They can make you more efficient, because right now AI can quickly write articles, create social media posts, generate images, make videos, generate human speech, summarize books or emails, and everything in between. It can create transcripts of speech and videos, and can allow you to edit speech by editing the text of the manuscript, and then your AI avatar actually presents it. It doesn't really matter what profession you're in. Whatever business or job you do, there is a way to use AI to be better and more efficient at it. You want to identify all the AI tools that are relevant to you, and you want to master the use of them. Remember, in these early days, most people are stuck like deer in the headlights, meaning you'll have an unfair advantage if you take the time to learn how to use AI to make yourself more productive and better at what you do. And that means that now is the best time to start your own business. Now, if that sounds counterintuitive, bear with me for just a minute. In my opinion, it's always a good time to start a business and take control of your financial life. But now is an especially good time because the vast majority of the business world was caught completely flat-footed by the AI wave that literally came out of nowhere. Now, most people reacted by panicking and spending their time worrying. And honestly, who could blame them? The media is full of random articles about how jobs are going to be eliminated, who's going to be unemployed, and imaginative doomsday scenarios. Because that's what the news does. It scares you so you tune in tomorrow. But here's the thing. Those doomsday warnings surrounding AI are completely wrong. No technology in history has ever caused mass unemployment. Think about all the world-changing tech advancements over the past 70 years. Smartphones, the internet, jet engines, personal computers, electricity, steam engines, just to name a few. Sure, you aren't going to find a lot of elevator operators today, horse and buggy drivers, or switchboard operators. Yet you can earn an amazing living as a website designer, social media manager, or app developer. Yes, AI is going to replace certain jobs, but dozens, if not hundreds more industries will take their place and create countless opportunities. Now, I want to tell you what the best business is that you can start in 2024. I've been in the tax and overages business for over 10 years, and I've been showing people how they can have their overages business of their own for more than 5 years. Overages is a great way to earn fantastic money, all while you're helping people. And here's how it works. Tax sale overages are money that's left over after a parcel of real estate is sold at a real estate tax foreclosure auction. And you might ask yourself, well, why would that happen? Well, what's happened is that the owner didn't pay the real estate taxes. And if you don't pay your real estate taxes for 3 or 4 years, in literally every jurisdiction in America, they will sell your house so that they can generate the money to pay those taxes. And here's the thing, annual real estate tax bills range from 1.5% to 2% of the property value. So let's say that you had an average house in America. That's about a $400,000 house these days. So you're gonna have a real estate tax bill of about $8,000 a year. Now, if you don't pay those taxes for 3 years, that's gonna add up to $24,000 of unpaid taxes. And of course, let's not forget there's gonna be interest and penalties. Those get pretty high with taxes. So let's just take a very conservative approach. Let's say that with taxes and penalties, your tax bill doubled. So instead of $24,000 in taxes that are due, you have $48,000 due. So what the county is going to do at that point is think, well, we need to get those taxes. We've got to pay the firefighters, we got to pay the police, we've got to pay the mayor, we have to fix the roads, we have to pay the teachers, and we have to collect the trash. We have to do all those things that a government needs to do. So what's going to happen at that point in time is they're going to force the property to be sold at a public auction tax sale. These tax sales are full of bidders just like you or me, who could go there and bid on houses. And usually houses are sold at a pretty good discount, generally 15 to 20% cheaper than retail after taking into account the repairs that are needed. Now, often these houses have been neglected since the person was in such bad financial shape that they couldn't pay the real estate taxes. So if you're talking about a $400,000 house that may need, say, $100,000 in repair, that house is probably going to sell for around $220,000. And of course, the winning bidder is going to be thrilled with that. Wouldn't you be thrilled if you bought a $400,000 house for $220,000, even if it needed $100,000 in fix-up? You would have a perfect $400,000 house for $320,000 after you completed the repairs, and the house would be just like new. And you can have it exactly the way you want it, from the color of the walls to the color of the countertops to the landscaping outside. So that's really a fantastic deal, right? So when you think about it, the owner of the property, he owes $48,000 in taxes. To make it easier to do this math, let's just round that tax bill to $50,000. So the owner has a $50,000 tax bill. The county then sells the property at a tax deed auction for $220,000. Well, that leaves $170,000 left over. That's the overages money that the former owner can claim. It's the difference between that $220,000 the property sold for and the $50,000 in taxes that were owed. Now you might ask yourself, why would they be able to claim that money? Well, it's pretty simple. The county only needed $50,000 to pay the taxes, even including the penalties and interest. They do take the tax money right off the top for the money they collect at the auction, but since they collected $220,000, the county takes $50,000, pays their taxes and pays themselves. That leaves $170,000 left over. And the former owner is qualified to claim those funds. And that's because the leftover money represents the equity in their house. The county doesn't get to keep $220,000 when they only needed $50,000 to cover the taxes. So that $170,000 in leftover money, well, that's available to be claimed in all but a handful of states. There are, to be clear, a handful of jurisdictions where they don't give the money back, mostly because they have a different structure for their sales. But more often than not, meaning most states, do give the money back. And it makes sense because the property owner only owed $50,000 in taxes. The government did force the property to be sold to get that tax money plus their penalties and interest, but then the extra money that's left over, that's not a windfall for the government to keep. That belongs to the former owner. But here's the catch, and this is where it becomes a business. And this is why you can make a lot of money in overages. The former owner has to ask for the money. He has to fill in the appropriate forms and he has to work through the bureaucracy. And the problem, number one, is that most owners have no idea there even could be any money left over for them. They don't know how they would go about claiming it or how the process works. And because they don't know there even could be any money left over, they usually don't do anything at all because they simply don't know there's any money they could even claim. After all, How can someone go about claiming money that they don't even know exists? I've even seen a few cases where people are aware of the funds, but they're simply too intimidated by the government to do anything about it, or they're simply too depressed to get off the couch and do something. Those folks often end up hiring us, or you if you're under this business, to take care of it for them rather than tangling with the government themselves. Think about it from their position. The government just took away their home and forced them to move out with the sheriff at gunpoint if necessary. The last thing that person wants to do is deal with the same government that came and took their house away from them and sold it at a public auction. They're at an absolute low point in their lives, in their emotion, and in their strength. They're typically depressed, scared, and intimidated. They're not full of fight, they're defeated. And of course, the vast majority of them have no idea there could be any extra money to get, so they're not going to go down to the county to ask about the sale and ask if there's any money for them. They're too scared or depressed to go down there, and they're busy trying to find a new place to live and get on with life, so they're not going to go down there to ask about it. So in the tax sale overages business, the way that we make money is by first getting the list of the money that's left over after the tax sale, and that's basically a list of what the property sold for minus the taxes, penalties, and costs of auction, and they give you a figure of what's left over. And we call that money overages money. Now you'll also hear that money go by other terms like overbids and excess funds, which it's sometimes called depending on the jurisdiction. After we get the list of excess funds or overbids that's being held by the government, we find the people and we literally pick up the phone and call them, tell them the good news that there's money available for them, and ask if they'd like our help in exchange for a percentage of what we recover for them. Now, we don't share exactly where the money is or how it came into being, so they really have no way to go around us. And of course, in all but a few states, there is a deadline to apply for the funds, and specifically 2 states keep the money available forever. But the rest of the states, they have a deadline. And if that deadline is missed, those funds are kept by the government because they're forfeited to the government, and that's forever. So there's a very big motivation for this person to work with you so that their funds are not lost forever. And the offer you're going to make is really simple. All they need to do is meet with the notary for 15 minutes to verify their ID and get written permission for you to go forward, confirm they're the correct person by checking their ID, and they're going to notarize the forms. If you're successful, what you're going to tell the folks, we get a percentage of what we recover. And if we're not successful for any reason, it doesn't cost them a dime. Now, typical percentage for us is 30 to 40% of what we recover. This is a very straightforward and profitable business. You can set your rates a little higher than that or a little lower than that. It's up to you. I can tell you we charge 30 to 40% and it's fine. So if you think about that, if you're working on a $170,000 claim like we talked about, and you take 30% of that, that's going to be $51,000 in your pocket. And honestly, that's a big windfall because generally the work is 8 to 10 hours worth of work. It varies by claim, but that's the general range. So if you're willing to work 8 to 10 hours for $51,000, where you could earn $5,100 an hour, this could be a business for you. Not bad, right? Now, of course, everyone will not work with you, and all the overages are not as big as that. I would say a more typical overage, sort of run-of-the-mill, is $30,000 to $60,000. So $30,000 overage at 30%, you're talking about $9,000 in your pocket. The question might be, well, why don't people work? Why doesn't everybody hire you? And everybody does not hire us. I want to be clear with that. And that's exactly why this business requires one specific skill that absolutely is AI proof and guarantees that you will never be replaced in the overages business. And why this one thing even gives you an unfair advantage. The skill that my very best students have, the best overages practitioners in the world, the one skill that enables them to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, is tenacity, persistence, and most of all, human empathy. Now, they probably lost their house in the first place because they had some personal tragedy. They lost their spouse, they had a health crisis, they lost their job and couldn't get a new one. Something really bad happened to them and they fell behind in taxes and they ultimately lost their home. Their problem was bad enough they couldn't pay their taxes for 3 or 4 years. So as you can imagine, it's something pretty severe. They really need some help and you are going to have the ability to help. These folks have no idea there is any money they could claim, and you are the person that knows about it and can get that money for them. But when you get them on the call, you must be able to make a human connection. They don't want to talk to a computer. Computer's not going to do it. Because the key to this whole business is getting people to believe in you that you can actually help them. Enough for them to trust you and say, all right, let's try it. Even when they think that, maybe they have such bad luck that it's never going to work for them no matter how hard you try. But they need to just come around enough to say, all right, let's try it. And that is a human connection that no machine will ever be able to accomplish. And that's why this overages business is AI proof. The machine cannot make the human connection. You, as a human, need to make the human connection. And that is the entire key to this business. It's one human helping another human, and you can be that human.